Hey everyone, welcome back to our channel. If you're new here, please subscribe. I'd really love that. If you're returning, how you doing today? Well, before we get started, if you haven't signed up for our newsletter yet, please do so. The information is always in the description box below to contact me and Trish, and all the important information we always want you guys to have, along with some really cool links so you can get some really great products. Before we get started, again, I had a really awesome interview today for a radio station. It's a Christian-based radio station, and I will be uploading that later on, okay? And also tonight, don't forget, we go live at 7 o'clock tonight here on this channel, okay? So grab your coffee, maybe some chocolate, because you just never know with me or what's going on in the world today. So I received this email from a subscriber, and she works in the financial industry, okay? I'm not going to reveal what bank she works at, okay? Because like I always say, I value your privacy, okay? But she wanted to give me an update, okay? And she said this. She said, I just saw this on my online banking website. It's a pretty real threat when banks put this on their welcome page. Guess it's not just the preppers and conspiracy theorists anymore. This is the first I have heard or seen of this outside of YouTube. I remember your channel is where I heard it first, Wild Times, when the bank warns of the $600 legislation. So it's on her bank's website now of where she works. So it's not just a conspiracy theory, okay? This is real, okay? So I wanted to relay that message, okay, from a subscriber who works at a bank, okay? Also, there's a lot going on, okay? I have some really great articles that I want to read, okay, and get into, okay. Now, this was brought to my attention. Now, I don't like to get into conspiracies or anything, okay, but when you see something in black and white, something's got to hold water, you know what I mean? So this article starts out like this. If we find the gaffes spoken during many of Potato's vocal moments, eyebrow raising, there may be even more disturbing thing happening here. And you know as well as I do, when he speaks, it's almost like we're listening to someone who is like it's like almost like he's like bumbling. It's almost strange, almost, right? Anyone paying attention cannot deny that all doesn't seem normal when the man entrusted with the leading the free world. And yeah, it's not normal. It's really not. So the President of the United States is afforded a tremendous amount of responsibility, and Potato's cognitive capabilities were questioned multiple times. Was he not supposed to have a cognitive test done? Was it ever done? I don't think it was. So, and this was supposed to be done multiple times during the 2020 campaign, okay? And of course, Potato and his cronies have adamantly denied the obvious, okay? So, nevertheless, it was either explained away by MSN or minimized as a lifelong struggle with shuttering. Concerned Americans pleaded with voters, okay, to consider strongly the mental competency of the man many were choosing to elect to the White House out of spite. It was, you can't deny that. You really can't. So we are all witnessing the consequences of this ignorance to the obvious. Potato is failing, and he's failing fast. And most of us understood from the very beginning that he would be little more than a puppet, manipulated by the radical progressive cast of puppeteers. It's a sad thing that for him, but a sadder thing for the future of our nation. I mean, look at everything that is going on. Look, just open your eyes. Even if this is the first time you're watching my channel, open your eyes to what's really going on around you. Have you ever seen shortages in our stores like you're seeing right now? What about inflation? Even on the news, even your local news is even talking about things right now, and they're even questioning what's really going on right now. So not only is Joe's verbal strategy pre-written by his political pundits, his vital signature may also have been hijacked, like his actual, what we call John Hancock, okay? And a pharmacist from Missouri, now listen to this, has noticed an alarming ambiguity in his recent signature. Bluntly, they do not even match. And it seems there's like a rubber stamp signature used to approve many legislative items. And what I'm going to do is, in the article that I'm reading that was sent to me by a subscriber, okay, I'm going to put comparisons of his signature from last year and signatures from just last week. And you tell me, okay? Now, like I said, I don't like conspiracies at all. But this is like, oh boy. Okay, so hang on and I'll put those in right now. So here's something else that I want to discuss, okay? There was a cyber attack that shut down the U.S. grain distributor, okay? And this is the third attack on a distributor. At least 3 U.S. grain distributors' systems have been infected with ransomware in recent weeks, raising concerns that hackers have found an easy target in a vital part of the U.S. food chain supply. I know, it's like, you know, is it ever going to end? You know, what's next? That type of thing. Now, all 3 known victims are Midwestern grain cooperatives that buy grain from farmers and then process, store, and resell it for uses like livestock feed and fuel, okay? And the attacks in which organized cyber criminals lock up organizations' computers and demand ransom for a program to unlock them has slowed the distributors' operations, hampering their ability to quickly process grain as it comes in. Now, the timing is particularly bad. And that was said by Charles Herberg, and that's H-U-R-B-U-R-G-H, and he's the head of the Iowa State University's Grain Quality Laboratory. We're going into harvest, and right now is when they're taking in a large amount of grain and putting out a large amount of grain, and it's a real nasty situation. Like many industries, grain production involves heavily digitized operations that were previously done by hand. Hackers who deploy ransomware, locking up their computers and demanding payment, may not be able to stop their distributors entirely, but they can severely slow them down. And the largest of the 3 known victims, New Cooperative in Iowa, is still working to restore automotive systems after it was hacked last month. And a spokesperson said in a statement, an employee for another farmers cooperative company, also in Iowa, declined to comment, citing advice from the company's attorneys. And the third one, Crystal Valley in Minnesota, didn't respond to emails and voicemails. Now, private files of all 3 have been published to ransomware hackers' websites, which NBC News has viewed a common tactic for ransomware hackers to deploy against victims who refuse to pay. While grain is a key component to the U.S. food supply chain, its market is large enough that the country won't see a noticeable effect from slowed production by 3 distributors. But still, you know, it's like, geez, I mean, when is this ever going to end? I mean, I'm serious. When is this ever going to end? So then this was also sent to me, okay? So supply chain shortages are impacting stores and shoppers in Connecticut now, okay? So this is 1 year where residents won't want to leave their holiday shopping until the last minute, okay? Shortages in nearly every area of the supply chain are hitting store shelves hard and customers' wallets even harder. Connecticut is feeling the impact of rising inflation fears. The state saw product shortages during the early stages of the pandemic, but that was driven by panic and fear buying, i.e. toilet paper. And this is much more widespread and systematic problem. We see this developing into a real crisis, and ships are stuck in port. Tractor trailers are having problem getting products to stores due to delays and not enough drivers. We knew before Rona that we had a shortage of truck drivers, and that's something we need to address, and that remains the case. And that was said by Joe Scully, and he is the president of Motor Transport Association of Connecticut. Now, a global supply chain is threatening the holiday season. Prices are skyrocketing, and on Thursday, which was yesterday, some shelves were sparse at Geisler's, and that's, I don't know if I'm saying that correctly, Geisslers, and that's a supermarket in Windsor, as stores deal with rolling stock shortages like juices, flour, and paper products were all in short supply. Okay, unfortunately, it's completely random. That's what a manager said at this store. And even if the products are there, it will cost the shopper even more. When you are on retirement, you have to watch every penny. So I shop in sales, and that's what a consumer said. And the impact is not just in supermarkets. Restaurants are feeling the pinch as well. And delays and challenges of not getting food. You are seeing menus having to change on the fly. The restaurants are already dealing with staffing shortages now, and they can't source supplies either. So we used to be able to rely on 3 or 4 purveyors, and now we have to rely on more, because if somebody doesn't have you have to pivot and react very quickly to get it. And that is what Executive Chef Daniel Stevens said. Many car dealerships have been impacted by a Silicon Valley computer chip shortage. That's why used cars are now, their value has skyrocketed. Okay, we've taken our inventory from about 300 to 400 car inventory to about under 100. So that's really affected what we have available to the customer. Now, Poland's told Fox 61 that they are also having trouble getting parts for their service center. With record unemployment, the shipment of goods and services is being felt across the sectors of the economy and all states. The supply chain shortage is definitely real. Now, Potato has said it will get better, but the question
Take off your mask.
is when.
The one you hide behind to avoid eye contact.
I'm sorry. Ads. So, the question is when. We can sit here and ask ourselves, when? We can sit here and we can prepare. But you know the saying, it'll get worse before it gets better. So my next question is, how much worse? How much worse can it possibly get before it gets better? I mean, how much worse can it possibly get, and how much do we have to prepare to deal with that worst case scenario? Have you ever asked yourself that question? Major ports have announced around-the-clock operations, while some big retailers like Targets, Walmart's announced they'll be moving goods overnight. Well, sure, that sounds great and all, but that isn't going to save us money. I mean, that's not going to help us, is it? I don't know. So please leave your comments in the comment section. We need to talk, okay? And we'll talk more about this. We really will, because I've got so much more to say, but you know me, I don't like to make my videos too long, okay? And also, you all know my one channel moderator, Tara Douglas. Her son went to Walmart last night and took pictures of what their Walmart looks like in the one section. And wow. And she's in Utah. They're experiencing shortages there as well. So I will add those pictures at the end of this video. All right, guys, I love you. I'll see you in the next one. You stay safe. You stay positive. You keep prepping. And as always,